So we're talking about nurturing agent relationships. And I think at conferences and talks we've done over the years, it's not get business or get inspections. That's so clinical and dry. And so a lot of times, like we purposely put these words in here because it literally is nurturing a relationship. And so getting those first 5, 10, 15 agents or maintaining them in some cases is everything this winter. Like I think it's going to be really tough out there for those that aren't thinking about those referrals from agents. And so to me, the more good relationships you're nurturing, the more inspections you're going to get, and you're going to get through the winter. Um, what does building relationships mean to you guys? Because you're both relationship guys. I think you guys both have great relationships at Spectora. You understand how to build them with our customers. Like, how do they take that a level deeper?
I would say, we're going to cover it in a little bit, but just kind of peel back the curtain now is be who you are, be genuine.
Mm,
I am different than Kevin. I am different than James. We all have different connection points to different folks in our lives. So if we can find those, if we can nurture those, those are real. Those are real relationships. Those aren't fake. Those aren't cosmetic.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I think the only thing I would add is, relationships take work, right? You can't just like become friends with somebody at a networking event and then never call them again and just consider that they're your best friend, right? I think putting some intentional effort behind keeping those relationships going is just incredibly important. So it's kind of like, you gotta make first contact, but then you got to keep talking.
yeah, yeah.
You're you're marrying these folks.
Yeah, it's not this, right? I think that's the it's not even on purpose. I don't think anyone purposely gets in the industry and just does that. I think it's maybe we're all in our own heads and in our own world and thinking like, oh man, I'm unique, I'm special. I should get business. It sounds obvious, but we want to get that out of everyone's heads of like, hey, I'm here, I'm certified, I'm licensed. The average person doesn't care or know what that means. That's the hard truth. This is the old school way for those of you that have not been in the industry. The old days used to be bring candy bowls to 100 brokerage firms and 10 of them will use you and that's how you start a business. um, I bet you 90% of those brokerages are still empty. There's probably no one there. So what is it? So you guys can chime in on this, but to me I call it like your digital ground game. Like how much are you able to just Google and look around the internet, document things, find the agents that are actually busy and out there doing business. This is a snapshot of a Zillow page that you can all find by Googling real estate agents in Highlands Ranch, Colorado. And those featured agents up at the top, James, they're probably paying money to be there, right?
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, I mean that's the name of the game, right? Is some people are paying for exposure, and that's not a bad thing in a lot of cases.
Yeah, if they're paying, the chances are they're selling homes. And I think to an inspector, that's who you want to find and be around. And so Zillow's even nice enough to tell you how many recent sales they have if you look at those numbers there. So that's building your list, and you only need one of them. You only need one of them.
Yeah. And I think something with that though is you only need one, but you also need to make a lot of attempts to get to that one, right? I think knowing it's a numbers game and is critical.
Yeah, whatever sports metaphor you want to use, volume shooter, volume passer, whatever sport, it's a volume game. Let's break down this email because this is something, we just it's kind of a approach at Spectora that we push in terms of adding value to them, not just, hey, I'm Chance, I'm around, can I get some business? So Chance, can you talk a little, just like riff with me on like a value add email versus like, hey, I'm an inspector, can I have a job?
Yeah, no, exactly. It's a symbiotic relationship. Scratch your back, I scratch mine. Um, Everyone's gonna say, I'm gonna provide 5-star service. I'm gonna provide a full home inspection. You're all saying the same thing. So find what's unique to you. Again, I'm gonna go back to being genuine. Find what makes you shine, what makes you a star compared to somebody else. And that can be the services you offer. That can be the times of day you're available. That can be the educational component. Hey, I'm going to teach you about this. I'm going to educate you and your clients rather than I'm just going to do what you hired me for. That's kind of a half-assed approach, pardon my French, but yes, find what makes you different.
Yeah. it's like marketing principles, right, James? Of like, what are you showing them ahead of any expectation that they'll give you business? And I kind of wrote this saying, almost disarming them by saying, you have your main inspector. Great. I get that. That's fine. I want to be your second. I want to be your backup. And then offering up some value in terms of time savings here. So that's one approach.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that offering of value, right? You have who you are, you have your personality. It's kind of capturing a little bit of this in the email, showing that you're, not super formal, or you're not acting like, you're in some sort of traditional business writing class and you're trying to like put something together that sounds very official. It's relaxed, it's laid back. It makes it seem like, somebody you'd actually want to work with. But then also it's saying like, I do something different with my inspections. There's something to learn from me. And I'd love to teach it to you. And I think, offering things up for free, being able to give people the opportunity to learn from you, that's a really good step in just building up your credibility. And of course, if you're a brand new inspector, building up credibility is something that you really have to focus on, because you don't have 1,000 reviews on Google saying that you're the best home inspector in the world. So you got to start somewhere, and that's by offering value.
Love it. Yeah. Use the repair request builder, use the tools that we built specifically for you guys to go market your business. And you can see there, we quantified a time savings to an agent. So if an agent even is scanning that and says like, oh, I'd want to save 30 minutes, or I like video, and then text, don't be afraid to use text. So we won't harp on this too much. So this one's underrated, I think, because as you navigate day-to-day life, everyone knows at least 5 realtors. That's just still, even though there's been a flush out, we get that. But I think at the soccer game, at your kids' events, whatever, networking events, you just got to tell everyone. And it's hard when you're probably new and insecure. We get that. But I think not being shy about it, I've heard that get more jobs than you would think. That's our made up acronym, always be relationshiping. So again, we talked about wherever you go, it's a conversation topic, right? Because we live in America and everyone always asks, what do you do? That's the first question. So there's some good opportunities there, but build real personal connections. You guys mentioned authenticity. I inspectors are a cool bunch, right? You guys have each talked to inspectors. You're like, dude, you're a cool guy. Grab a beer with you anytime. But that's them being themselves to us. I think when they over formalize, do you guys agree that can almost not serve their best? That could not be good for them because agents don't get to know them.
Yeah. I mean, my personal home buying experience, my home inspector was funny. He broke the tension because we're investing $400,000 in a home, and I don't have $400,000 right now. So I'm nervous. I am stressed to the level 10. He took all that away just by being friendly and making jokes and connecting. So same thing with agents, and if it's a new agent, they're probably stressed in the same level too. Like, hey, I got to make this, I don't want this deal killed. So connect with them and kind of, be their best friend, be your chum. Cause these are, home inspectors. They're the blue collar sweethearts. We love them all.
Great point. Great point. So we talk about values, right? So I think a lot of inspectors don't show enough of like what they actually value, whether it's certain, associations or things they donate to. Talk about what's really important to you. And again, it can't be like Chance said of like, oh, I really care about my customers. I do a thorough home inspection. Like fast forward through those things because you should. That's like bare minimum, right?
Real quick here, Kevin, I love this last one you guys have. Is I only schedule one inspection day so I can take my time to really do a thorough job. As a new inspector, that's a value add. Yeah, you're not busy. So brag about it. Hey, I can give you everything I have. Whereas your other home inspector, he's got 4 or 5 jobs. He's going to kind of cut corners, try to get all this done quickly. So brag about that.
That's so good. That elaboration is so good.
Yeah, I love turning something like that where it's just a situational reality into a benefit, right? Like, how can you change your situation into, hey, I will take the time to really do a great job, and I want to do a great job for you. I mean, that's just a great twist to put on the fact that you're maybe not super busy at the start.
Yeah, exactly. If you have more time than money, say, I'll answer your text any time of day. If you're that hungry for a job, say, hey, I'll answer you any time of day. I think that's the mentality. Kind of a hard takeaway there, but give value first. No one owes you these jobs. You got to earn them. Here's some other ones. I don't know if you guys have heard these ones. Just some other ideas, though. I think, like, to me, new agent trainings, if there's new agents getting in the business, they don't know anything about inspections. You probably know more than them, even if you're in this business. Um, Continuing ed, I've seen businesses take off by getting approved. Um, yeah, useful information about the local market. Anyone can research, right? It's like J2, when you were new here, it's like you were able to research and learn so much about home inspections and real estate on top of what you already knew just by Googling.
Oh, 100%, 100%. And I think just going back to the offering new agent training, I have a friend who got into the title insurance business years ago, and he has built an incredible business for himself, just putting on classes for agents. And
Mm.
I think it's something to really think about because agents do a lot of continuing education. They go to a lot of classes. It's not like you're breaking them out of something. And also because they have, they're entrepreneurs, their schedule is probably a little bit all over the place. Being able to put on events, it gives them sort of things to do. Agents love to network, so they're going to be there to network. So really, like, if you can get yourself into a place, and obviously it's a little scary at first, but where you're going out and doing trainings for agents, where you're putting on small events for agents, it can really, really pay off. So definitely think through that.
Like that. And when you bring food, maybe try to think a little creatively. I think people are trying to eat a little healthier nowadays. I think donuts was the old, like, oh, bring a bunch of donuts from King Supers. That could work, but I've also seen people make homemade lasagna, and that was their MO, was like they made homemade lasagna and brought it in, and it shows effort. It shows that they actually care. That's being unique.
Absolutely.
How do you nurture relationships? Some of this we touched on already, but like agent trainings, newsletters, just like social media posts. We'll get into social later on in this talk, but like these are all just things to stimulate ideas for you guys. It's like we're not giving you the hard and fast playbook, but these are just some ideas and trainings and topics. Quality over quantity, we say that, but then how do we balance that, James? Because earlier we were like, you gotta reach out to like 300 agents, but it's got to be quality too. How do you think about that balance? Because sometimes I talk out of both sides of my mouth with that too, where I'm like, it's a numbers game and it's got to be quality.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it is funny to think about it. I think the reality is there is going to be a quantity game, right? You are going to be going out, you are going to be talking to a lot of people, but put the time into that. So, if you set yourself a goal that I'm going to reach out to, 30 agents every day, just because you're gung ho and you want to go for it. It's the old cold call mentality, right? You're not going to be putting 100% into these because you just know I'm just going to keep picking up the phone and calling. If you're going to blast out emails to every agent that you've, scraped off of Zillow, unless you're really, really, really good writing a really badass email, like you probably are going to not get the result that you want. So think it through, take the time. You can make the plan to reach out to 1,000 agents if that's where you're at, but make sure that you're doing it in a methodical way where that quality is maintained. And also, learn from what you're doing, right? As you go out, you're putting effort in. If you're seeing something work, double down. If you're seeing things not work, keep trying different things. You don't lock yourself in, I think is the really important thing. Make sure that you're continuously coming up with new ideas and trying new things out just to see what works best.
Yeah, and one way is, if you wanted to make it scalable also and high quality, I think about, okay, brand new agents. If you go onto Zillow and you filter your list that you've created, we'll get into how to show you how to do that. Maybe you send a blast to all those new agents, and that can be sometimes more generic. But if you're talking to a rainmaker that does 30 deals a month, you don't want to send them a standard kind of blast email. You want to personalize it, go to their website, learn about them on social, and make it a very thoughtful email, because you only get one shot at that rainmaker, right? You don't want to just throw them into a list.
Totally.
Let's talk about social media to reinforce real life. This is a huge topic. We could probably do a whole nother hour on this, guys. But like, as much as we can try to connect it to real life, is kind of my goal usually for inspectors, is not thinking of it as this like, oh shit, I hate social media, I don't want to do that, I'm not good at it. I'm trying to think of it as like, it's like legit relationship building in the new age, right? So we'll get into social more. Do you guys have thoughts on, on using social just at a high level?
Yeah, I mean, I think that authenticity, I mean, it says it on the slide, but authenticity around your social media is great. I think the other one, and I know, you know, some of our inspectors have said this to us, is, you know, nobody, even if you don't like social media, you got to do social media, which I think is just like, it may not be fun for you to do it. You may not love what social media is, but as a business, it's one of the games you got to play. You got to be in there, but that doesn't mean you have to not be yourself, right? You don't have to start doing TikTok dances just because you think, you know, everybody loves a good TikTok dance. Not at all, right? You need to be you. And also, people like to hear the story of you and the story of you building your business. So really think about that too. You don't have to, you know, pretend like you're the busiest person in the world right out of the gate. Tell them how, you know, you're going through training, you're learning, you're experiencing, you know, these inspections that you start doing at the beginning, or if you're going with a mentor, you know, what are you seeing? What are you learning? What's surprising? People really like that kind of stuff because it helps them relate to your journey versus just relating to your business persona that you're making up.
That's well said. That's really well said.